digital hand for me? I can't see any digital hands raised, so I'll take that as a no. I would just advise governors, even on the smallest of things, to fill out that declarations of interest form, just so that everyone is being fully transparent. Something that might seem quite minor might be important to someone else. So I always counsel all of my governors and all of my directors to declare everything and forever hold your peace. So we then move on to the appointment of governors to the Council of Governors committees. We've seen in the pack you've hopefully been able to access through the admin control, the various different committees we're talking about. But Sue, over to you, please.
Oh, thank you, Russell. Hello, everyone. As the paper sets out, the Council of Governors has 4 committees which undertake work on its behalf. And following a full election of governors, the council has to appoint governors to sit on each of those committees. And the process for doing this is set out in the Constitution. Each committee has a terms of reference which set out the remit and responsibilities of each committee, as well as how the membership is made up. These are attached as appendices to the paper, and they're also available to governors on admin control. All of our governors were asked to submit expressions of interest for becoming committee members, and at the same time indicate whether they would be interested in being either a committee chair or a deputy chair where appropriate. The nominations are set out in the report for the council to receive and agree, but I'd just like to highlight the following key points. Mike Wells, as lead governor, will chair the General Purposes Committee. The deputy chair will be formally appointed by the governors on the committee at its first meeting. Public governors Mike Flaxman and Callie Harrison have expressed an interest in being deputy chair. No expressions of interest were received to chair the Patient Care Committee. Public Governor Jean Arrowsmith has expressed an interest in being the deputy chair, and she has very kindly agreed to chair the first meeting of the Patient Care Committee when the governors on that committee will select a chair. And Jean has a wealth of knowledge and experience in this area and was the chair of the Patient Care Committee for several years. So thank you, Jean, very much for stepping in. As stated in the paper, the Membership and Engagement Committee is currently paused pending work being undertaken on the Trust's patient and public engagement strategy. However, we've sought nominations for membership of the committee to ensure that the appointment is agreed by the Council prior to that committee being reconvened. And then finally, the membership of the Nominations and Remuneration Committee is limited to a maximum of 9 governors, to include the lead governor, who will be deputy chair of the committee. However, we received 10 nominations for membership of that committee. In a moment, I'll hand over to Russell, who will, as stated in the paper, invite 1 governor to withdraw their nomination. The council will then be asked to formally agree the committee memberships. The committee meeting dates have already been shared with the governors, and following this meeting, Verity will be sending out the meeting invites to the relevant governors. I'll now hand over to Russell. Thank you.
Very clear, Sue. Thank you. And thank you for standing in for Sarah. So we'll take each committee in turn. So we've seen on the General Purposes Committee that we had nominations for Manu, Michael Coker, Michael Cox, David Fitzpatrick, Mike Flaxman, David G, Callie Harrison, Cece Maria Arthurs, and Carolyn Pickering, as well as Mike Wells. So just formally, please raise a digital hand if you're not happy to approve that. Duly approved. Thank you, colleagues. I'll come back to the NRC in a second. In terms of the Patient Care Committee, we had nominations received from Jean Arrowsmith. As Sue indicated, thank you, Jean, for chairing the first meeting. Paul Bowness, Manu, Michael Cox, Tim, David Ian Furlong, Sissy again, Leslie McGuigan, Carolyn and Holly. If you're not happy to approve that, could you please again raise a digital hand? Fine, can't see a digital hand raised. And then on the Membership and Engagement Committee, we had 4 nominations for Manu, Michael Cox, David G, and Holly Poe. If you're not happy to approve that, please raise the digital hand. Duly approved. Thank you very much. So we go back to the NRC. In the Constitution, at this point, I need to ask one of those who have put their name forward to either stand down, or I, as chair of the Council of Governors, will make the decision and basically remove one of the nominations. So out of the 10 people who have expressed an interest, which are Jean, Manu, Michael Coker, Michael Cox, Niendi, David Fitzpatrick, Mike Flaxman, David G, Callie Housen, and Mike Wells, are any of you willing to stand down? Please raise a digital hand. Manu. Thank you, Manu. That makes things more helpful for me, rather than making myself even more unpopular at the first Council of Governors meeting. So, Manu, thank you for standing down. So we therefore have 9 colleagues standing for the NRC. This is a very important year for the Nominations and Remuneration Committee because you will be the subcommittee of the Council of Governors running the election of, or the identification of, a new chair. So if you're not happy to accept those names, again, please raise a digital hand for me. Okay, I think therefore, Sue, we have done everything we needed to. And again, thank you, governors, for so enthusiastically putting your names forward to sit on some of those subcommittees. As we indicated in last week's induction session, there are many other committees and many other projects which governors can get involved in, and a similar level of enthusiasm to put your name forward for those will be greatly appreciated, but we can come back to that. So therefore move on to the Governor's Code of Conduct, which again we touched on last week. It is attached in the pack which you've got. As I said last week, all governors are held to the same code of conduct as all of our colleagues in the Trust. We are all ambassadors for the Trust, and therefore both in our behaviours, public utterances, social media, etc., we do need to have recognise our responsibilities in that ambassadorial role. So I will leave that with you to enjoy as a bedtime reading. Any questions on the Code of Conduct? Okay, so I think we are on to any other business. This will probably be the shortest Council of Governors meeting we ever have. But any other business? Carolyn.
I just want to thank everybody for the induction session last week. It was so helpful and interesting. I don't remember 3 years ago what happened to be inducted, just a long time ago, but that was such a good session. And thank you very much for everyone who organised it so well.
No, that's our pleasure. Thank you, Carolyn. I know a lot of work went on by governors, including Mike Wells and I think Mike Flaxman and Roger and others, to make sure that we learned from last time around to make it better. So it's nice to get that feedback. Thank you. As I've indicated, colleagues, there's an awful lot going on in the NHS, so I will try and ensure you're kept abreast of things, but they are fast moving at the moment. Mike Wells.
Thanks, Russell. It's just an update for the governors who attended the dermatology site visit on Friday. Parking was mentioned as being a problem. It is being sorted. The staff will have parking on site.
Thank you, Mike. And any other questions or perspectives? Okay, colleagues, as indicated last week, we do tend to meet digitally for our Council of Governors meetings because for certain governors it's just an easier format to allow them to attend, but as otherwise they would find it difficult with public transport or maybe some other issues. Okay, I think our next meeting is on Thursday the 8th of May, where we've got a proper Council of Governors meeting, so I look forward to seeing you all then. In the meantime, if you have any issues, don't hesitate to reach out to either myself or David Spraggett as my vice chair. And I ask all of you to take care in the meanwhile. Thank you very much. Sue, can you stay on the line for a second, please?